Everyone has pivotal moments in their lives that shape who they become, for better or worse. Some pivotal moments are immediately apparent, while other moments are not realized until much later on. This was my first pivotal moment. Getting an acoustic guitar as a Christmas gift when I was 6 years old. I began taking guitar lessons. Being a 6-year-old kid, I had very small and weak fingers that made it difficult to fret the notes. I also had trouble holding the guitar pick and kept dropping it into the sound hole of the guitar. Hoping to make things easier to play, I started using my thumb to pluck the notes. This caused a huge blister to develop on my right thumb, which kept me from being able to hold the guitar pick at all. I began to rethink my intentions of playing this instrument. Practicing bored me and seemed like a chore. Definitely too much work for a 6-year-old boy. My mom would sit down with me to make sure that I practiced 30 minutes per day for my weekly guitar lesson. This seemed like an eternity when you're that young. On more than one occasion during practice time, we would both end up crying. Me for not wanting to practice, and her for the frustration of spending money on lessons when I offered so much resistance and showed little interest. After several years, I was good enough to figure out some of the songs I heard on the radio and brought records to my guitar lessons to learn songs I wanted to play. I began to actually enjoy practicing my guitar. When the time came to think about college, there was no question I would pursue music as a career. I had done some 4-track recordings at a friend's house, but wasn't happy with the results. I wanted to learn about the recording process to capture my musical ideas and maybe make a living at recording other musicians. I applied to only one school, the Berklee College of Music in Boston, which offered one of the few programs available at the time in music production and engineering. It seemed perfect for me, and luckily I was accepted. My dad and I made the 1,000-mile trek from the Chicago area to Boston with all of my possessions in the car. I had never seen the school or even been to Boston. Going to Berklee was challenging on many levels. The studies were intense, and it was intimidating being surrounded by the most talented young musicians on the planet. I did my best to keep up. By my 3rd year, the stress had built up until I was overcome with anxiety and became very sick. The doctor said nothing was wrong with me, but I felt like I was going to die. Even though I became very weak and frail, I never missed a class. I knew how much more difficult it would be for me to keep up if I missed classes. When I finally graduated, I was completely exhausted. I decided to stay in Boston and start my own studio in my apartment where I could work in a relaxed environment and recover from the stress of college. My friends and family thought I had gone a bit crazy. Back then, no one had studios in their apartment like they do today. After a few years working full-time out of my tiny apartment, I started to consider moving my operations to a commercial space, but would need to raise a large amount of money for the venture. I drafted a financing proposal and shopped it around, but the banks were simply not interested. After a few years, I managed to secure enough financing through independent channels to lease a commercial space and build a proper studio. When the studio was finally done, I had racked up a huge debt and did not have enough work to support the growing expenses of running a commercial facility. For the next 5 years, I faced challenges that far surpassed the challenges I faced in college. But this time, I was better prepared to handle the stress of running my business. When the 5-year lease was up, my landlord wanted to triple the rent and did not offer me a new lease. I had 60 days to find a new location. Not only did I not have any money for the move, but I had accrued $100,000 in credit card debt by then. I was able to find a new space that had already been a studio and spent many years recovering from my financial mess while trying to keep up with the massive changes in the technology of my industry. Each step of the way, I could have decided to quit. But quitting would seem like a waste of all the efforts I had put in since childhood. When I started my studio in my bedroom, I taped a sign to the inside of my bedroom door with 2 simple statements. Failure is not an option, and whatever it takes. I still live by these 2 mottos. According to the dictionary, The definition of failure is a lack of success. But you cannot have success without failure. It is the cornerstone of success. George Washington lost many more battles than he won, but is remembered for his leadership. Daredevil Evel Knievel attempted to jump the Snake River Canyon in a rocket in 1974, even though he knew he would not make it. Failure is not trying. Failure is giving up. Success is finding your way. Success is doing your best. Success is not giving up. All you can do is all you can do. There are no excuses, only solutions. Make the effort. Thank you.